everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Zappix CX Tech Talks, where we bridge AI with CX. I'm your host, Shannon Colbert. Each episode, we take the time to sit down with CX industry leaders and get to hear their perspectives on the constantly changing world of customer engagement and the role technology and AI plays. I'm thrilled to be joined today by someone who has a wealth of experience in the digital customer experience and a partner to Zappix, CEO of V24, Tomer Azenkot. Thank you for joining me today, Tomer.
Thanks, Shannon. Happy to be here.
Great. So just to start, just so we can kind of get your little perspective, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the work that V24 does?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been with V24 for just over 2 years. Prior to V24, was a sales leader at multiple companies in the CX UX space as well. So kind of many years in around digital experiences and how to make the experience for consumers on a website more pleasant and more effective. V24 has been around for over 10 years. We help a variety types of companies to help improve the experience using video chat on their websites. So bringing the human touch to experience that are typically involved in sales or customer service, where there is a clear advantage in having a human involved, and in particular over video when seeing a product or seeing the expert adds value to the flow or to the user experience.
Yeah, that's great. Something I also like to talk about is we talk about AI and CX, but also just the technology aspect. And being that V24 is such a technology-driven company, how do you kind of go about incorporating some new technologies into what you already have? Is it a slow progress? Is it kind of all at once? Or is it a lot of brainstorming going on ahead of time?
So there's definitely, especially in recent times, I think for all companies, there's a lot of thinking, okay, how do we incorporate more AI? When we sit down every few months to talk about the roadmap, one time yearly, we do a big session on site. We have teams in different places around the world, so it's logistically, it's not easy always. But we got together a couple months ago in November in Manchester, England, brought a few of the key team members together, and we did a lot of brainstorming. What is it that we want to do in 2025? We came up with a few interesting ideas, and it's always fun to also stay focused, and it's challenging to stay focused and really make sure that at the heart of everything that we do is our key focus as a company, which is helping bring the human experience. And despite all the really attractive and maybe distractive opportunities out there with AI and automation and talking avatars and things of that nature, our goal really is where the human to human connection is.
Yeah, I like that idea. And something that we always talk about too is this concept of humology, is that you can't just do it all with humans, you can't just do it all with technology. It's really this blend of the two and how they work together. And it's kind of finding that balance. How do you kind of go about that? Because a lot of times, like you said today, everyone's putting AI in everything. It's the buzzword, everyone's talking about it. Some people just throw it on a title because they think they need it and it sounds the right thing. But how do you go about incorporating the two and finding that balance of this is what can be automated, this is what kind of needs that human touch and empathy there?
Yeah, it's something I think about a lot. So we try to be very honest with ourselves, and we're not the right solution for every single use case. And as time goes on, I think the window of where we are relevant will become narrower and narrower, and that's fine too. We have a niche. We focus on helping high consideration decisions. For example, if you're buying an expensive piece of jewelry, if you're talking to your financial advisor, if you want to buy a new piece of furniture for your home, these are use cases where an automated solution or a text chat only solution is probably not going to fit. You want to see the product or the person on video. You want to have a conversation with someone that will help you make a decision. So that's where we focus. It's very difficult to say no, but we often say no because we know it's not a good fit, or there are better solutions out there, especially when it comes to, in many cases, the project that a customer takes on has a target of cutting down costs or saving resources. that's not what we would typically help with. Where we come in is where you want to talk to someone who's browsing your website, and just like you would with someone walking into a brick and mortar shop, and really give them a very white glove experience. And it's not about just getting the transaction done as fast as possible. That's where we want to be, and that's where we want to focus.
Yeah, I like that perspective, and I think this may be a different perspective kind of than what we've seen in some of our other episodes of so much more automation and digital and technology, but you're really going like the opposite way of starting with technology, but bringing back in that human concept. Like you're saying, when you're making these big decisions or you want to talk to a person. I know sometimes I call in things, I don't want to hear the automation. I actually need to talk to someone this time, or like it's better to have that human connection for certain decisions you're making in life. So that's definitely, I like that perspective being taken there because you're putting the human back in the technology and kind of putting it back that way. Being,
Yes, absolutely. And I would just add, in many of our customer implementations, the customer is enabled to self-select into which route they want. So if you have, let's say it's a retailer, and you're on the website and you want to see what the status of your order is, you don't really need to speak to a human, and the retailer probably doesn't want the human on their end to spend the time on that kind of inquiry. So you can self-select as the customer into a path where you have some automated tool that helps you find the order status, or any other type of FAQ style interaction.
yeah,
When it's something that does require a conversation, you would self-select into speaking with a human, and we want to make that as frictionless as possible.
I think that's so key is having those different avenues of different options that customers can take because there's no two customers that are alike. Whether it's ages, background, whatever, everyone's coming in from a different thing. I know the younger generations, they don't want to speak to someone. If they can just do it on their phone automatically, just do it automation there, that's what they want. But it's nice because then if you have someone maybe older coming in or just wants to talk to someone, you need to have both. Otherwise, you'll kind of lose one or the other. So I like that perspective of we're trying to aid to both and all demographics to kind of please them. So I see where the humology kind of gets in there. That's great.
Yeah, demographics are interesting, and the use case even more so. I'll give you another example. We work with a very large blinds company. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of buying blinds for your home.
Not
I did
yet.
a few years ago. First of all, I had no clue what blind types there are. In fact, I was incredibly surprised by how expensive it is. But it's a type of product where the product catalog is enormous. There are hundreds of different kinds, if not thousands. And as a consumer, most people have no clue what they want. And you also require speaking with an expert in order to match your environment, the windows in your house, with the blinds that you'd be buying. So video is really important. The two-way video is really important. Seeing the blinds on video, but also seeing the interior decoration and the window that you're going to be dressing is really important. So there, regardless of demographics, you can be 16 or 80, video plays a major role. And it saves you, in my case, it could have saved me a trip to the store a couple times just to be able to see it in person, which was annoying coordinating for both myself and my wife to go at the same time to a store. We had to go a few times in the end. Things would have been solved in a much cleaner way if we would have both been able to jump on from different locations, jump on a video call with one of their advisors and get all our questions answered and get them to match us with the right products in their catalog.
Yeah, that kind of brings up that term of convenience. Everyone's so busy nowadays. You're being pulled 100 different directions, so you really need to like convenience. Like you're saying, trying to find time to go. It's no, I have a few minutes right now. Let me jump on this video call. Let me do it that way. So trying to do it more at the time of when the consumers need it, the customers need it, rather than just when they're available. So that's a lot of it too, like with self-service, with the 24/7 availability, rather than calling in, oh, the agents are only there from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Well, I'm working 9 to 5, so I don't even have the time to call. So it's all about the convenience there, which I really like that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
and with Zappix's self-service technologies and solutions, we see it as kind of the two sides of the spectrum, right? In some cases, I don't want to speak with anyone. I want to just help myself, and I want the tools that will enable me to help myself in the fastest and easiest way possible. In other cases, it's the other side of the spectrum. I want to talk to someone. I need help now. And the worst thing in those situations is having to try to navigate my way through tools for self-service that don't fit what I need. So there has to be that option, and I have to be able to match my requirements with the right solution.
Yeah, just with that like user experience, because I know I've gotten lost in IVR webs or the self-service there. I don't know where I'm going, and especially sometimes it's just such a simple thing I need to do. Like I need to pay my utility bill, I need to do this or that, and I just can't find it. I can't get anyone on the phone, and that's the most frustrating thing too from a consumer. This is supposed to be something simple. I'm trying to pay my bill, I'm trying to do this, but then there's so many barriers to getting there. It's just frustrating. And then sometimes if there is an option to switch, so a different carrier, go to a different store. It's like I'm going to do that because I don't have the time. Like you're saying, the convenience. I don't have the time to do all of this. So you're really gonna do something that's better for you because you don't want to spend the time navigating through all these complex things. Then you get frustrated, throw the whole thing away. You're done with it that way.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree.
Being that you brought up Zappix, I know Zappix, like I mentioned before, Zappix and V24 are partners. I think it was in the last year or so that we became partners. And one of the things we were always talking about is like the agent assist on the Zappix side, but then I know you have co-browsing and screen sharing. Can you talk a little bit about this new partnership, where you see it going in the future, or maybe how the solutions complement each other? I know you kind of touched on that a few minutes ago.
Yeah. So as I said before, I think the way I think about it is there today you often have one single flow you can go down from a consumer's perspective, right? You go through a chat bot, you have a text chat option maybe, but it doesn't really differentiate between something very simple that you can do on your own or something where you need the help of someone. And when you want to guide yourself through to a very a simple self-serve option versus one where you want to speak with the person, with another human, you end up spending a lot of cycles and getting that way. In an IVR, it's the most classic examples when it's like, press one for English, press one, two for Spanish, etc. And it's like agent, agent, agent. I want to talk to someone. And it could take many minutes before you actually end up getting to someone, or in some cases, you don't get to it at all. So the way I view it is Zappix covers a pretty big portion of the self-serve part of the flow. And over time, I think as technology improves, it kind of creeps and takes more and more. And V24 is on the other side of the spectrum. We cover the very complex, complicated scenarios where you do need to speak with a person. And hopefully those are reserved only for the cases where both sides actually want the human to human, right? So not only does the consumer want to talk to a human, but also the company wants it makes sense. It makes sense for them to spend the time speaking with someone. So if it's let's say a luxury retail scenario where you're buying a $5,000 piece of jewelry, obviously the retailer would be happy to speak with you, right? Because they want to make sure that they convert you and that you have a good experience so you come back and buy again at a later time. Or if it's a very complex financial services or healthcare scenario, where you want to make sure you're getting things right, and you don't want you don't want an automated um, kind of a template approach to solving the problem, then again you want to talk to a human. If it's simple, Zappix. If it's a little bit more complicated or requires a human, V24. And over time, I think whatever's in the middle will be more and more narrow. And eventually, companies will feel like they're not spending cycles, they're not spending contact center resources when it's not justified or needed.
Yeah, I think a lot like you're mentioning there is you're trying to reduce those costs and automate what you can, but you still want to keep that connection and maintain that connection relationship with your consumers. You don't want to cut it off like you're saying, like sometimes there's those times that the consumer wants to talk to you and you want to talk to them and you want to make that experience good. You want to make that connection. So next time they remember that and then come back. So it's not just automating complete technology overload, never speak to your consumers again. It's seeing how the two blend together of we still want to maintain this relationship, but let's make it easier for them and for us with the automations, with the self-service in that way. I think that's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. And we're seeing also the same thing hold true for B2B. So there is a, consumerization of business websites that are selling to other businesses where The buyer journey is very different. So someone who's buying V24 or buying Zappix are expecting more self-serve today than they did 5 years ago. And when they do want to schedule an appointment or speak with someone at Zappix or at V24, there's really no better way than doing it over video for the same reasons that we're on video at the moment. It's easier to build relationships, to build trust, and also to communicate better than just on the phone. That's why, I always tell people our internal calls or our calls with our partners and customers haven't been on the phone for a few years. Why is it that companies still have their 800 number or some way of calling in? Nobody wants to do that anymore. You want to talk on video, and you want to do it now also. You don't want to necessarily, email to try to play tag and schedule a meeting. You either want to have a tool that enables you to book the appointment right now or begin the video live right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like you're saying, it's all about the connection and the whether it's B2B, whether it's in your own company or with your employees, like people are going back in office or even when we have calls every day with our just a quick check-in. So it's always just like even when we're remote, it's just seeing how each other's doing, what everyone needs. So it's that face to face, even though you might not always think it's needed. Someone's like, oh, this could be an email, this, it's still maintaining that connection and that relationship and kind of fostering that, whether it's with employees, a business, or like a consumer, which I really like that you brought that up. Something just with technology in general. I know some people are scared of it coming. They're kind of hesitant with all the new things that are coming out. Have you seen consumers really accept and open to these new technologies or automating different things or opening to the video chat and things like that? Or are they still kind of hesitant and like standoffish to some?
So there are a few ways I would think of answering that question. I think just to touch back on AI, I think there are a lot of concerns about AI, and many of them are justified. There have been some pretty interesting fail cases where there were hallucinations or other just bad experiences that AI has produced. I could think of a few that were in the news in the past few months. So I think that is top of mind, especially with building the large language models and planning out how the AI will train itself to be effective. In terms of our platform, we definitely have had many customers who were prior to V24 were entirely either text-based or text and or phone-based. And the actual contact center staff do have some hesitation or concerns to be on video. But I would say that once they are on video, within days, they get over their concerns. And again, just like it is for us working from home, let's say, and having internal calls on Zoom or Teams or what have you. Maybe a few years ago, you would have been a little bit hesitant and you're like, oh, I have like my office, my home office's background. There are things like it's kind of an invasion of privacy. But now it will never cross your mind. Like it's not something you're going to think about ever. We're just accustomed to it. So we've seen the same thing at contact centers as well. People who, for many years have just answered the phones, and in many cases they're working from home as well. Once they get started, they get comfortable, and it's all good. It all becomes normal very quickly.
Yeah, that's such a good point too, because even the concept of AI a year or two ago, it was still like I remember people telling me you got to use this, you got to use this. I'm like, oh, what's going on? But now it's use ChatGPT all the time, throwing something in there. They're so mainstream now. So it's crazy to think of where we'll be in like 5 to 10 years from now when this all happened in the last year, 2 years, like it's all coming up. So it's very interesting to see and kind of follow. I'm very interested to see where we go. Well,
Yeah, the
yeah.
psychology is interesting how something new and disruptive and at first, initially very concerning to people becomes normal very quickly and you very quickly forget about the concerns you had, weeks or months ago.
Yeah, it just becomes mainstream, then the next thing pops up, and then the fear of that, and then the same. It just seems like the endless cycle that we're going down.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Tomer. This was a great conversation. Great to talk about the partnership with V24 and Zappix and kind of get your perspective on everything with technology and AI and CX. Well, and thank you for joining me. I look forward to continuing this partnership between the two and working with you more in the future.
Excellent. Thanks, Shanna. It was fun.
Thank you so much, Summer.